Hi, welcome to Relief Beyond Belief, exploring the world of natural healing. I'm Alexandra Barker, your host. Today we have a bona fide practicing witch as my guest, and she's going to tell us what it is to be a modern-day witch and help dispel some myths along the way. So I'd like to welcome Toni Neron.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for
coming.
Me.
And I wonder, we'll just start back at the beginning now. I know that you were raised as a Catholic, so how does a good Catholic girl grow up to be a witch?
Well, I think I kind of come by it honestly. I always had a natural tendency to look outside the norm in things, believe in fairies and crystals and all these things. And also on my father's side of the family, my relatives that came from Ireland were gypsies. And I think that maybe there was a little bit of that, just kind of, some of those old ways were brought over when they came over.
Yeah.
And I just always had that natural kind of tendency to look to other things for answers. And
I mean, to like the big questions of life. Why am I here?
Why am I here? Where am I going? Where did I come from? And I just found that the religions of the day weren't answering those questions for me. They just left me with more questions than answers. And the more and more that I started reading and studying about witches and witchcraft, that I found those answers to all those questions that I had. Why I was here, my purpose, and what I could do in this life, and all those things were being answered by following my path as a witch. And I started that about the time I was 15 and have never looked back. I've really been happy with it.
Wow. So what has it really brought you, other than just maybe answering some of those questions, but in terms of practical day-to-day living?
It's really been a whole lifestyle. Say, how to deal with the stress in my life, I can do that through forms of meditation, certain herbs, certain oils that help you relax, and things along this nature that are actually daily practices. And I mean, you don't have to be a scientist to follow this. It's just natural things, natural herbs you may have even in your kitchen cupboard, everyday things like that, that you can apply in your daily life that follows the same path as a witch that way. Yeah. Crystals for healing and energy. Meditation brings about peace of mind and helps you get through the day, regular stresses at the office and all these things.
Yeah.
Having an altar set up in my house. If anybody, it doesn't really matter what you believe, if you have that one little spot in your house, and it doesn't have to be a huge area, where you can go and say, okay, right now I'm going to drop all my stresses, I'm going to sit, I'm going to think, I'm going to work out my issues for tomorrow, and tomorrow's going to be a better day, that little sacred space that you've created has fulfilled its purpose. And that's just a tiny thing that you don't have to be a witch, or no matter what you believe in, that you can do that will help make your day better and help make your day easier. Family life, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And excuse me. I just find that by incorporating all those things does make my life, it makes me a better person. It helps me to work on being a better person tomorrow than I was yesterday. And
that seems some of our viewers might find that a bit strange, because they probably think of witches as, cauldron stirring, and bubble, and
casting evil spells
and all that, which we will come back to that. Mm-hmm. But they think of it in terms of more of a negative, worshiping Satan and casting evil spells and that sort of thing. So we're here to dispel a lot of that as well, because that's not true.
That couldn't be further from the truth. First of all,
that's Hollywood.
Yes, it's Hollywood.
Shakespeare.
And the belief that we believe in Satan and the devil is totally false. Satan and the devil are Christian symbols that just don't have a part in our belief. And part of that came from, we do depict God as the horned God, which can be symbolically, you can see him in paintings and wood carvings as a man with stag horns, which symbolizes male strength, the male side of God, the rut in nature, the strong, strong as a bull, and that symbolizes those qualities of the aspect of God. The same way, on the flip side, that goddess will be depicted in 3 ways, 3 stages of life: maiden, mother, and crone. So you could see her as a young woman, as a pregnant woman, or as an older wise woman, and that shows you that those are feminine qualities, and the god and goddess will rule much similar to a yin and yang symbol, the female side, the male side, as separate entities but equal entities. And it's easy to see how back in history, when most of the people of the day were illiterate, and it was easy to see how someone could come along and say, show them a picture of a man with antlers and a pregnant woman together, this is the devil, and this is what happens with women who follow the devil. It was easy to convince people of the day that, but it couldn't be further from the truth. It was really one of the biggest myths, I think, that we have to overcome, that witches follow Satan and do evil, bad deeds and things. And we don't believe that. We do cast spells, and spells basically are just another form of prayer, but we may use tools, herbs, oils, crystals, and things to help focus our attention, to bring that into our life.
And that's not unique to witchcraft.
No,
either.
no, it's all forms of religion will have prayer and meditation to bring in the things that they need in their life. Maybe a relative or friend is ill and they want to send energy for them to feel better. And we simply do that with tools and things to help us focus and help us visualize and send that energy. No different than someone that just sits in quiet in prayer to send that energy to a loved one to help them feel better. And we believe that we should never, ever step into the bounds of someone's free will. So we can't cast a spell on someone. If someone came along, maybe they were ill or maybe they needed some added energy, it is okay if you came to me and said, would you help me? Would you help me with I need a spell for this. You have given me the right to help with that. So in that instance, it's okay to help cast a spell for you or with you or towards you. But to actually go out and, look at maybe we're having problems at work, to cast a spell on someone so that they lose their job or get away from you somehow, that is totally wrong, because we believe that everything we do in life comes back to us in the form of the law of three. So if I send out negative energy to you, all that's going to happen is it's going to come back to me 3 times, and each time it will get bigger and hit me a little harder, and rightly so, because that's not being,
bad karma.
it is bad to do that. And I believe that all forms of religion teach that in one way or another, that if you treat people with respect and take care of the world around you, it's no different in the Christian 10 Commandments or other forms of religion that preach, peace, harmony, and love your fellow man. It's the same thing. We call it the Wiccan Rede or the Witch's Rede, and it just basically states, and it harm none, do what ye will. That means go about your daily life, do whatever it is that you wish, as long as you harm not your fellow man or the earth. And it's really, really tricky. If you follow that to the letter, it is very hard to do that, because everything you do is going to have that cause and effect, where you may inadvertently, cause a problem here or there. But as long as your intent is good, that you wake up in the morning and you try and be a good person and put your best foot forward, that's what counts, is that intent. But as far as casting evil spells and worshiping the devil, that is false. And another thing, too, that came about is the old magical names for herbs. Some of our spells may call for, most common one people recognize is eye of newt. Well, eye of newt is a sweet rocket that grows all along the roadsides in Canada, little purple and pinkish flowers, and it just fills the air. It's a very sweet smell, and children love to pick it, and people love it, and to pick it for wildflower bouquets. That is eye of newt.
The batwing is the holly leaf.
Batwing is holly leaf, and toad is toad flax. And all these things are old magical terms for herbs that people in modern day, in Hollywood, I hate to blame it on Hollywood so much, but it's true, have put out a lot of that negative stereotype that we injure animals and cut apart things. Like, it's totally false. You'll probably find more witches as vegetarians, as promoters of recycling, and all these good things that we're trying to do to heal the earth. You find a large population of that as witches and pagans and Wiccans and people who really care, not all of them of course, but you'll find a large population there that really, really does care about the earth, and we are not out there to harm anyone or, you know.
And you say witches and Wiccans. So witches and Wiccans are not one and the same.
They can be separate or they can be the same. It really gets confusing for people. Wiccans tend to have a high priest and a high priestess and maybe follow particular rituals, whereas witches are a little bit more of tend to be solitaire, or they can be in covens, Wiccans as well. But witches tend to act as priests and priestess. They can follow those things themselves. Tend to act alone, don't necessarily follow particular rituals and certain codes that way. They, kind of make it up as they go along, or blend in this and blend in that. A little bit of maybe like a rebel or a mercenary that way, sort of different. Following the same codes, just doing things a little different. And some Wiccans will call themselves witches, and most witches don't necessarily call themselves Wiccan. Although they can.
So you, personally, you're a witch but not a Wiccan.
No, but I do.
You have a coven.
Yes, yes.
And a coven is a group of witches, and witch applies to men and women.
That's right.
And correct me if I'm mistaken, that it means wise one?
Yes, that's right. It comes from an old word that means wise one, and there was a kind of a Hollywood theme for a while that male witches were warlocks, and that's not really true. The term,
it's a warlock.
Yeah, the term warlock is really kind of a negative connotation to most witches. It actually means oath breaker.
Oh.
So it'd be a picture of
so if you really wanted to diss a
backstabber
witch,
type.
you'd call him a warlock.
Yes.
Okay.
Although some people still, they believe that some will still call themselves a warlock. But generally it's accepted as a bad thing. Oh. And you are a witch whether you're man or woman.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. That's good to know. So a coven then, and so you do belong to a coven.
Yes, we do.
And you meet, I guess, just when you're surrounded. Now we touched lightly on the
Sabbaths.
The Sabbaths that you celebrate. So is that when the covens would get together?
We do get together. We have 8 holy days, and they fall pretty much. People would recognize them. We have at Yule, which is December 20th to 23rd, which falls pretty close to Christmas, and Samhain, which is October 31st. That's the end of our year and our new year. And we do meet for those special days. We also meet for Esbits, which we have at full moon and new moon. And we meet at those times to talk.
Today is a new moon.
Yes.
So would you be having a meeting?
We're actually having it tomorrow night, yes.
Oh.
And that we open up to our larger group we have in town, the Quinnipiegans. That is open to all members of Quinnipiegans, and it's welcome to.
Hi, you're watching Relief Beyond Belief, and we're here talking to Toni Neron, who is a witch, and she's going to elaborate a little bit about what happens at a coven and show us some of the tools of the trade. And Toni, you're actually wearing a robe that you would wear at your coven meeting.
Yes.
And if anyone is interested in our viewing audience and participating in that, they can contact you at the number that we've been putting up on the screen.
Okay.
So, so you were just saying that you aren't like a head witch, but that everybody in your coven is equal.
Yes, we're all equal, and we're not necessarily all on the same path. I'm a witch. We do have Wiccans. We may have Druids and other forms, quite an eclectic collection in our group, and I think that's what really makes us work. We focus more on, when we get together, the energy and the lessons that we're learning from each other. Everyone in the group seems to have their own particular specialties. Somebody might know a lot about crystals or herbs or meditation, and when we get together and share all these things, it's a real growth experience for us.
Oh.
And we do meet every full moon. That is particular just to our coven, and we save that time for us to share and grow and learn. We also have new moon rituals, and that's open to all in the Quinnipiegans. Any pagans in the Quinny area are welcome to that. And we'll meet each month. We pick a different spot. It'll be at someone's house, or we may meet, especially when the weather warms up. We will be meeting outside in different areas alongside the water, and we can have bonfires, and
Nice.
it's really nice to connect with you. It's better to do it outside. People get more energy from outside.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in this weather, we hold them indoors.
So what sorts of things would you do at a meeting?
Well, first, we cast a sacred space, and we'll call in the elements, call in the quarter directions to protect the space. And we'll have an altar set up similar to this with the tools that we're going to use. And we honor the god and goddess, and we may acknowledge what's needed in the group at this time. Someone may need a little bit of prosperity work, a little bit of healing. We may have friends or relatives that we want to send energy at the time to help with healing, this sort of thing. And we'll work on that, and different things different studies that we want. We may do singing, dancing, drumming, and different things like that to bring in energy, and chanting, singing, things like that. All that is good. And then at the end of it, of course, we release the quarters and open the circle, and we will share food and celebrate together and things like that. And yeah, we do that.
Sounds like a really nice get-together. And everyone wears a robe such as
Most
that?
will dress traditional and have robes or gowns and things like that.
So the black is traditional?
Black is traditional partly because the color black helps remove negative energy. It's one of the reasons people tend to dress in black for funerals and things. It helps speed the mourning process up.
Oh, really?
It helps make you feel more confident. You may notice that with your guests. Some people will tend to dress in black because it does make you feel a little bit sassier, a little bit more confident.
That's
when you're
funny.
speaking in front of other people.
Myself.
People tend to, though, dress in darker colors when they have to speak in front of people and things like that. But all the colors, soft shades of purple and things like that will, of course, make you feel a little more mellow. It's why the nurseries and things are filled now with pale purples to keep the babies and mothers peaceful and calm, and brighter colors. Orange is quite an erratic color. You tend to find that in places where people don't sit for very long. It's not very comforting. Yellow will bring out colors to help you with astral journey and meditation and scrying, things like that, to help
good for
gazing.
concentration.
All these colors have an effect. But black tends to be the color of choice. Helps you focus and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. And speaking of interesting, look at all these goodies you brought us today. So let's, well, obviously crystal ball.
Crystal ball used for scrying, and scrying is another term for gazing, like you do in crystal balls. It comes from an old word that is descry, which means to reveal dimly, and it's becoming more common. And also we have an athame, which is a ritual knife. It is used, you can use it to cast, circle. It's never used to physically cut anything. The blade tends to be quite dull on it. But you can use it to cast your circle or to ritually cut through negative airspace.
Oh.
And that symbolizes God on the altar. The wands, same thing. Anything that you point your wand at, it's an extension of your energy. So whatever you point at, you're going to be putting your energy into it. It's great for healing. It can be used for casting circle as well. And then, of course, we have pentacle. And
Okay, let's talk about that a little bit.
Very important. It's one of our most sacred symbols, and it is the main symbol for protection. This symbolizes man. We've seen the pictures, man outstretched. Spirit at the head, surrounded by his elements of earth, air, fire, and water. And the circle, of course, is the circle of life and the earth, and that's what gives it the protection. Oh. And most witches will have a pentacle on somewhere, and it rings...
I see it's part of your jewelry.
Yeah. Yeah, with crystals and the triple moon.
Oh.
That is the pentacle. You really should have one on your altar. I think probably there is not one without it. And we have cauldrons. Cauldron represents goddess on the altar, and it can be used for burning things, some spell work. You may write down things that you need and you want to burn. It'll be burned, a little bit of saltpeter or alcohol or something to proof it up, and it will be put in the cauldron for that. That represents water and the goddess on your altar. And we also have mortar and pestle, great for grinding up herbs. Can be used, I'm not without it in my kitchen. use it for everything.
Oh, neat.
Grinding up herbs, making your own.
It's like soapstone or something.
That one's made of soapstone, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have our chalice.
Beautiful
and
chalice with the pentagon on it.
Pentacle on it.
Pinnacle, sorry.
Pinnacle, yeah. And we use that as a goddess symbol. It can be used in different parts of your, it's for serving wine or ale, doing your libation, and great piece to have. Also tarot cards, which not necessarily a tool of a witch, but many witches use them. And it's another form of scrying, yes, looking into things and help solving your everyday issues that you come across. And, of course, pendulums. And pendulums are great, especially if you're an indecisive person. All it is, it's your own intuition, and you learn to read how the pendulum speaks to you. And basically, it's just cutting through all your should I or shouldn't I ideas. It's easy. Yeah, if you learn to use a pendulum, it's great for indecisive people. And the more you carry it, the more you work with it, the more energy you're going to put into all these things. It's very important. People can be really picky about their tools. The main thing to realize with anyone's tools is a lot of people don't mind you handling them, but you must ask first.
Because then you would be imparting some of your energy.
Exactly, and some people don't wish any of their tools to be touched. Me, I don't mind, but I do prefer that people ask. It's just common courtesy.
Right.
And, yep.
Well, what are some ways that you would just bring your witchcraft into, like, really practical, down-to-earth things that you do, like, throughout the day? I guess it probably filters into all aspects of your life. But
probably the most common things that I use it for is to remove stress. I get in a dither really easy. Everybody that knows me will swear to that one. And when I get in a real dither, I pull in things like tingsha bells, which bells are great. There should be a bell on here too. Bells, when you ring a bell, it clears the air of negative energy, and it's a great thing to do at times when you're really stressed. I kind of ground myself and focus, and I'll ring the bells to clear the air, and right away when you hear bells you do perk up, like it kind of snaps you out of the mood you're in. And I'll do things like burn certain types of incense. Maybe I'll use different kinds of oils, essential oils, to help bring in what I need. If it's grounding, I might use patchouli or lavender oil. Lavender's great for calming you down. Everything. Lavender's great for everything. And things like that I'll incorporate. And I'll have them in my kitchen. I'll have them, at my shop. I have them, and I apply that regularly. Other things may need a little bit more work. Maybe I'm in need of some prosperity in my life, and I might pull in things that remind me of prosperity. The color green, of course, the color money. Pull in green things, green crystals. Visualize why I need that. It's always easier to incorporate these things on a need rather than a want. Mm-hmm. The needs in your life may be a car to get to work. That's a decent need. But now maybe that fancy red Corvette, that's a want. A car to get you to work and back is a good thing to focus on. And you almost always will get the things in your life that you need. The things you want are maybe a bonus. But focus on the things you need, and then...
Well, it's true. What you more focus your energy on is...
Yeah, the things that you need. You may have health issues, allergies, things like that. That's a good thing to focus on. If you get rid of those allergy and health issues, you're going to be a happier person. And it's much easier to focus on those main issues than to get out there and say, I want $1 million, I want to win that lottery, which is not really a practical thing. And you tend to... I think you should focus on
You're
those.
a practical witch.
Yes, I try to be the most practical witch. Yes.
We should mention, too, that you do have a store here in Belleville called Scrying Crow, and I know you're always happy to tell people a little bit more about what you do if they wanted to visit you there.
Yeah, that totally came out of my beliefs. Many years ago, it was difficult to find wands, pentacles, and all these things, and I had done stained glass, and I started making my own. I started making my own wands. I made my own glass pentacles, scrying mirrors, all these tools that I could not find anywhere. I started making out of that need for my daily life. And little by little, I had friends and relatives that were, oh, I need that. I could use that piece. And I started selling here and there. And eventually, I opened the store, Scrying Crow, selling my own pieces. And of course, customers coming in, oh, they needed more than what I could give, so I started bringing in more and more pieces. Went from the house to downtown, and I must say, Belleville's been great to us. That we've had a really positive reaction from the people downtown. We've really liked the space, and we've met a lot of great people since we moved in.
And it's really an interesting store,
yeah,
that's for sure.
You know, we have crystals, wands, and I have great luck finding hard-to-find pieces for people. They're all looking for that special book or a different kind of crystal.
Oh, right.
I have a lot of fun hunting pieces like that down, a lot of luck finding pieces like that for people, for tools that they need. Yeah, but we've really had a lot of fun. And it's just been a growth experience for me.
Oh, and that's